we'll sing Surely the Presence. When I pray, I feel my heart go deeper, my heart go deeper into my God. When I pray, I feel my heart go deeper, my heart go deeper into my God. Right here, right now, right where I am. I pray right here, right now, right where I am. I pray. When I pray, I feel my soul go deeper, my soul go deeper into my God. When I pray, I feel my soul go deeper, my soul go deeper into my God. Right here, right now, right where I am, I pray. Right here, right now, right where I am, I pray. When I pray, I feel my love go deeper, my love go deeper into my God. When I pray, I feel my love go deeper, my love go deeper into my God. Right here, right now, right where I am, I pray. Right here, pray, I feel my heart go deeper, my heart go deeper into my God.
I'm just going to send out a silent prayer right now to, double prayer. Anyway, welcome everyone to Unity of the Seacoast, where two or more gather. We always see a crowd. And especially welcome you new listeners and anyone listening in from where you are. And please feel free to come and visit us sometimes. At 10 o'clock, you're going to hear a great message from our Reverend Tom. But anyway, thank you, Fire and Barbara. Beautiful, beautiful song. And also, please silence your cell phones if you haven't already did that. And we always start out with the daily word. And the affirmation is prosperity. I release worry and no prosperity. Perhaps the greatest gift of prosperity consciousness is freedom from worry. It is knowing that as a divine being, I can draw from an infinite storehouse of divine ideas and prosper myself in infinite ways. This awareness helps me keep the things of the world in proper perspective. Like everyone, I will know times of plenty and times of lack. Understanding my prosperity as a spiritual truth and not the quality or number of my belongings or the amount of money I have in the bank gives me agency to direct my life. I am prosperous. As I affirm this truth again and again, I grow richer in divine ideas, the building blocks of everything on earth. Therefore, from Matthew chapter 6, verse 25, therefore I tell you, do not worry about your life, what you will eat or what you will drink, or about your body, what you will wear. Is not life more than food, and the body more than clothing? And again, the affirmation for today is prosperity. I release worry and know prosperity. And we'll always begin with our mission statement. And please feel free to join along from home or here. We are a loving, nurturing community dedicated to being a positive path to spiritual living, to awakening oneness with God within us all. We dedicate this year to activate the abundance and prosperity in our lives with gratitude, love, action, and connecting to the divine within us and the world around us. And also, immediately after today's service, we have food and friendly conversation. Please join us. We also broadcast live on Facebook. Our YouTube channel starting in a couple of weeks. We'll have the service later in the day. Visit our webpage at www.unityoftheseacoast.org. Scroll down to the links for our live services or past services on YouTube or Facebook. There's also a button which invites you to donate. The blue button welcomes your support of our community outreach and is greatly appreciated. Or if you prefer to mail your donation in, you may send it to Unity of the Seacoast, McConnell Center, Suite 246, 61 Locust Street, Dover, New Hampshire, 03820. For event details, please visit our Facebook website and meetup page. Poets Corner at Unity is Monday the 18th. And gratitude is the theme. I always love gratitude. And we also greet each other with namaste, which is a Sanskrit word, and it means the Christ in me sees and honors the Christ in you. or the best in me sees and honors the best in you. Or as I always say, divine in me sees and honors the divine in you. And we'll just put our hands together and say namaste. Namaste in the corner. Namaste. And namaste to everyone at home. Barbara will honor us with another song.
This is a song written, composed, and arranged by Barbara Whitney.
Pale blue water runs so cold and deep. Ribbons of light won't shine where all my comforts flee. Here I stand alone and broken, breath my one companion. What of all I've done? The newly minted dawn still come. Lord, if I knocked on your door, would you hear me? If I called out your name in the dark, would you help me to see? Some days I feel so blind, I'm just hoping to find. Lord, if I knocked on your door, you would hear me. Fear not for what is in you, desires you cannot name. Can what is in best intentions be the same? Oh, my own mistrusted conscience offers no safe guide. My heart is only human, full of fear that burns like fire. Lord, if I broke down tonight, would you heal me? If my spirit can't break through these chains, won't you give me the key? I've been waiting for a sign, 'cause I know I'm running out of time. Lord, if I broke down tonight, would you heal me? I was crashing in the darkness when I saw a light, and then I heard the word sharp meaning like a knife. Well, I seized the reins of patience to break my fall from grace. I understood the meaning, I recognized the face. Lord, if I knocked on your door, would you hear me? If I called out your name in the dark, would you help me to see? Some days I feel so blind, I'm just hoping to find. Lord, if I knocked on your door, you would hear me. Some days I feel so blind. I'm just hoping to find that, Lord, if I knocked on your door, you would hear me.
My favorite time. You know, I was just thinking when I was sitting there, if I were to share everything I know about Tom Schindler, what he does, there's nothing he can't do. I'll be up here I'd take 15 minutes of his sermon.
I could take the day off.
Oh, he's here no matter what. And as we all know, he's been through a lot of physical challenges and is still going through a lot of physical challenges. You get no matter what. He is here. He's been here in wheelchairs, walkers, crutches. He's just here all the time. I mean, if you want Tom, you just pick up the phone and call him. I hope that sometime he can say, nope, sorry, I can't help you today. I've never heard it. But anyway, I just want to give a warm welcome to Tom Schindler.
I love you, Bonnie. Before I start, Tracy has something she'd like to chat about. And if she's going to chat, I'm going to step aside.
Good morning, everybody. Just wanted to mention about Friendsgiving meal at my house. It's this coming Saturday night. I believe it's the 23rd. It will be at 6 o'clock. I am putting a sign up in the back. Please bring something, a dish or a dessert or something. All are welcomed. And I live in Durham. I'll give the address if you guys need it. Okay, thank you.
And you're doing the turkey, right?
Oh, yes, thank you. Yes, I'm doing the turkey, so just like side dishes, dessert, whatever. Whatever works. Thanks.
Awesome. So before I start my talk, there was a verse from, I hope you guys don't mind if I sit down today, but there was a verse from Matthew that she read in the beginning, in the daily word. And it's, therefore I tell you, do not worry about your life, what you will eat, what you will drink, about your body, and what you will wear. Life is more than food, and the body is more than clothing. And that verse goes on to talk about, do not worry for tomorrow will take care of itself. And when I hear that verse, I always like to remind people that doesn't mean don't think about tomorrow. It means make your plans, trust in your plans, and then get back to living for today. Because you can plan and worry all you want for tomorrow, but you never know. You just don't know. So that's out of the way. Barbara, oh my God, that second song. If you guys aren't amazed by her, that should amaze you. That was incredible. Thank you. Yeah. Your voice and your skill, I'm just in awe. So thank you.
Thank you.
So Monday, you guys know that both my wife and I are on dialysis. She does it separate. And every once in a while you get a side effect where your blood pressure plummets and you can't control it. And we witnessed that here. So keep my wife in your prayers. And Monday at dialysis, they took too much out of me. And an hour before I was getting finishing, they unhooked me so I can go to the restroom. And I reached for the doorknob and dropped. Wound up in the hospital where I spent 24 hours putting stuff back in me until I could go home. But there's always a bright side. My whole life, not my whole life, but I'm always searching for that hamburger that reminds me of when I was a kid. It didn't have a lot to do it, but had lettuce, tomato, a simple bun, and it's flame broiled. And they had them there, and I had 4. So now that's where date night is. So today's talk, I call it Jesus' first container. And it's about kind of putting the pieces together of his young life and what it has to do with us. I'm going to read you a quote from Serena Williams. I'm lucky that whatever fear is inside me, my desire to win is always stronger. Within each of us, there should be a fire, yearning to be more than we are, more than we think, and more than we've been told we are. We start out with what we were dealt with, and our job is to rise to our potential because we want things out of life. And for some, there's this voice in our head that says, oh, it's not for me. I can't do it. And when we begin to soar high, we self-sabotage ourselves. And we're afraid to take those first steps. Maybe we talk ourselves out of setting up a new business, or taking that dream trip, or asking out someone, or afraid to join groups and to meet people. But whatever it is, for some reason, we step back from our dreams. It's like getting to the top of that water slide you want to do. And you get right there, and then you look down and you go, I ain't doing that. Even though 1,000 people have gone before you, and you step in and you walk away. So much in life we don't take the leap because somewhere in our past we believe that we can't do it. We won't do it. We don't do the things. We don't set that money aside. We listen to those voices. And we've been trained to do this from the moment we were born because our past somehow has an influence upon us. And I want you to take a second and think. Really think about this. What does yesterday have to do with making your dreams come true? Each new day is a new start. If you're looking back, the only thing you should carry with you is wisdom and the knowledge that you've accomplished things in your life and you can accomplish them. And I guarantee this, before you pass away, there are people with less than you, less skill, less money, less comfort, less help, who are going to start a dream and accomplish it. I really want you to think about that. People with no more than you at any age will begin and accomplish dreams. And it will happen over and over and over again. At the same time, we tell ourselves, I can't do it, I'm too broke, I'm too ill, or whatever. I didn't start playing the guitar until I was 50 because I had been told as a kid I had no skill in it. From the first lesson. I don't know anyone who has skill in it in the first lesson. But for some reason, I bought into it. And I set that guitar down, didn't touch it for 40 years. But you have to take these actions in your life. You have to take the steps. There was a writer today, who passed away this week, and her name is just running away from me. But as a kid, she was really, really poor. She had brothers and sisters. She was the only one in her family, in the generations of family, to complete high school. Everyone dropped out around their freshman or junior year. She was the only one in her family to go to college. And what inspired her to do this is every week her mother worked a couple jobs, and she would take the quarter and put it in this little jar for money. Now, the money didn't add up to a lot. It added up to $200. Now, towards a college education, that's like handing them a penny. But what it taught the girl was to never stop, no matter how small the step is. And she won the Pulitzer Prize, and all that stuff has just escaped my mind. You ever get something that's right there and you know it's there, and then it goes, I'm not coming out. Yeah. But we're shaped by our past influences, our religious beliefs, our sports teams, whatever. You all know I'm a Red Sox fan because of my mother. From the moment we were born, we have those things that influence us. And we have those things that make our human experience good and tough. Moments of joy where we're quite happy, and moments where we're just simply cruddy. It just happens. And for those moments, I always turn to the Bible because I can find a phrase or something for me in Jesus' life that makes sense. And this is what we talk about, practical Christianity. Not doctrine, not rules, not anything. Just what about his words and his life that makes sense? And in fact, the rest of the Bible. And you could do that with any book. You can pull out a verse from Harry Potter and go, man, that helped me today. But for me, it's the Bible. And I wanted to look at what about his young life that may have shaped him to become the person that he became. And we don't know a lot about his young life. We have 17 or 18 years where there's a gap. But we know he was born. We've heard those stories. They have the tales about that. His mother was a virgin, and he came from a virgin birth. Now, most likely that did not happen. We have to be careful when reading the Bible not to suspend common sense. The whole Bible is a set of tales, some truth and a lot of mythical tales, and they're there created to explain the creation and evolution of a people. And every culture has these types of tales. Native American, Greek, Chinese, African, every culture. And they're designed to explain in a way that we understand that we have a history and that they give us wisdom. Now, Jesus talks a lot in parables. These are stories that may or may not be true, but it's our job to find the lesson from them. And to me, I take that as an example for the whole Bible. So we may read it and decide what is true, what is not. The story itself may not be true, but the lesson in there is true. And it's up to us to sort it out for our own self. I always say, I want you to believe like you. Don't believe like me. You are as smart as me, and you can read these things and learn a lesson. And by being open like that, we get to expand the conversation instead of locked into an exact way to talk. Now, the story of Mary was probably created to explain away that she was a lady who had a child out of wedlock. A virgin birth gives a stronger connection to God. God does the impossible. He creates a son through this woman. But see, at the time, like in all times, people had kids out of wedlock. It was accepted, but it was part of a class system. It had classifications and rules. A bastard, and I don't know the Aramaic word for that, was a child who was born out of wedlock, and the father was not around. Jesus' father was around, at least in the beginning, and we know that. So Jesus was called what is called a mamzer, and that is someone born out of a wedlock whose father is still around. But with that, he didn't have the rights, same rights as people who were born in a more conventional way. He had no access to reading or writing and was not allowed into the synagogue. So to learn about his life, we take what we know from the Gospels as well as what we know from the time that he lived in. And without giving a full history of that time, I'll try and give a little bit of insight. The society he lived in was called a caste system. The upper part of the society makes money and makes their living off the backs of the lesser part of the community. They have rank and authority. The area that he was born in was run by the church. And the church produced nothing, not a penny. Their power had to be supported, and to do so, they took from the lowers, such as food, the food they grew, the animals, all the things they farmed and raised. They took a sort of tax on what was sold by the lessers. And then came Roman rule. Now, the Romans kept the church in power because that was a system. So they set themselves above the church. And Roman rule produced nothing, not a penny. So where are they going to get it from? Well, the churches aren't giving it up. So more comes from off the back of the people living in that area. They take more of what they farm, what they grow, and what they sell. So in this system, it was a really difficult system to make a living, to find meaning. So much so that many people had to sell their lands to the church and to the government, and they got to be like an indentured servant. Life was hard and meaningless to many. And they were living under two sets of rules. They were living under the rules of Moses that the church had set. And they were living under the rules of the Roman Empire. It was a difficult existence for those who were not part of either ruling class. Now, Jesus was most likely not born in Bethlehem, the city of David. There was a Bethlehem that was a lot closer to Nazareth. Joseph had a son when he met Mary. The son was James. He came from another marriage. And because it was a marriage, James had more rights than Jesus. He could go to the synagogues. He was allowed to learn from the elders. And he was allowed to read and write. If Jesus knew how to read, he probably would have been taught by James. James had that birthright. If you go by the lineage, he had the birthright all the way back to David. But he had some sort of access to the scriptures. And he was allowed to go. James had some sort of access to the scriptures. He was allowed to go into the synagogues, learn from the elders. And Jesus was able to pick up this information that came to him. But we know he had learned quite a bit, because later we know that while in Jerusalem, he goes in the synagogue and he sits and he talks with the elders. He also had to learn from other people. He probably learned from John the Baptist. They probably were still friends, because during Jesus' birth, we know from the Bible, Mary went to visit John's mother while she was pregnant. So that relationship probably did not evaporate. Joseph at some point faded away from Jesus' life. How, we do not know. People have guessed anything from being a deadbeat dad to being killed by the Romans in a skirmish north of Nazareth. But most likely he just died from illness or an accident. That was what people did best in those times. They died. Back in the old days, you had 6 kids, hopefully 2 would survive. One source cites that he dies while Jesus was around 12 years old. But he probably lived long enough to teach Jesus a trade. They were both called tectons, which is a handyman. We translate it as a carpenter, but tecton more accurately is someone who was skilled with their hands. And in those times, kids started working around 10 years old. So it's very possible that Joseph brought Jesus to work, and he learned from the people he worked with. He got to talk to elders. Maybe he learned how the storytelling, parables, maybe his style. But he was out in the community. Did he have siblings? He did. We know this from Matthew 13:55. Isn't that the son of Mary, of the carpenter we know? Isn't his mother named Mary? Aren't his brothers James, Joseph, Simon, and Judas? Don't all his sisters still live here in town? How was he able to do these things? So they had a problem accepting him. But he had people to learn from, people to hang out with. And he also would have learned from his mother. Somehow he discovered this way of talking and explaining things in a simple way, in such a way like he uses the parables. And he also began to see God as a father-type figure because he used the word Abba. But Abba is not a direct translation to a father. It means something that brings into existence. It's a masculine form of that. So don't get hung up on father being this white-bearded guy with sandals. Probably nice sandals because it's God, but still, don't get hung up on that. He's seeing Abba as a source for everything. And he lived in a time when Jews believed a Messiah would come and intervene on God's behalf. Now, this is also something common. When a people struggle, they believe along will come someone, a defender, who will save them. This is a mythology that exists over and over. Hollywood loves to use this. Here comes that guy that puts it all together and sets it right. But we learn from Jesus that he doesn't consider himself a Messiah. He calls himself a prophet. We also learn that he considers himself equal to all and everyone equal to him. Has he learned that from being a mamzer, an outcast? He probably learned empathy and compassion from that. And at some point, Joseph and Mary bring him to Jerusalem. And he learns from the elders. And like all good parents, they leave the city and they forget their kid. So they turn around, they go back, and he's in the temple, and he's in full discussion with the people in the temple, the elders. So he has learned, but this is a major point in his life, because this is something he is not allowed to do back home. So Jerusalem becomes a very important part for Jesus. And another important thing that happens is Joseph dies. Again, how he dies, we don't know. But because Joseph, according to Jewish tradition, would have been buried within 24 hours, he is buried. Jesus does not get to see him because he is not allowed into the temple. So again, this probably had a major impact on him. And all the duties of the house probably would have fallen on Mary. And this is why Jesus did not see women as beneath him. We know that at some point he befriends Mary, Martha, and Lazarus. And we see that in the way that people follow him. And the disciples just come to him. And people want to hear his voice. And at some point, he's just developed this charm and a way of speech that draws people in. And at some point, the relationship with John the Baptist goes stronger. because it's John the Baptist that announces his coming. And we believe, most scholars believe, that it's when John the Baptist is beheaded, that's when his mission really takes foot. It's very possible that he was following John the Baptist in the outskirts of the cities and going into cities like Jerusalem when he can, because he can go into the synagogues of the cities that don't know him, and he can learn and talk with the elders. But however he did it, there's this time between 12 and 30 years old that he's gaining knowledge and he's understanding wisdom. And it's probably a hard time. He's probably struggled for food at those times, had to work hard, and all the things that one does to stay afloat. He probably avoided paying taxes because he may have lived like a nomad. But this is the footing in his life that propelled him to the mission that he took. And I'm sure as his mission began and he called out the ruling classes, it took some kind of audacity and courage to do that. Because at the time, when you entered a city or all along the roadside, they would show the people who were crucified. And crucifixion at the time was not a Jewish punishment. It was a Roman punishment for going against the upper ruling class. So somewhere in this, he got this sense of bravery and of courage to lead the life that he was meant to lead. And at some point, he goes back to his hometown, and he's mocked, and he's run out of town. People closest to him don't believe in the man that he has become. But yet there's this fire burning inside him to be the person that we know. 2,000 years after his death, we are still talking about him. Now, is there a reason that you should know all this or think about any of this? Well, obviously, I think so because I'm talking about it. See, we each have a starting point in life. We each have dealt with unlucky hands at times. From his birth, Jesus had an unlucky hand. Herod passed a law when he was born to have him killed. He was an outcast in his village. Even when he came back as an adult, people could not see him as the man he was, only as Mary's son. His knowledge he probably had to work very hard for. And all this he did because he had faith in himself. And he had faith in the prosperity and the abundance of the universe around him. And he forged himself as the way shower. And you've heard me say this before. Jesus had 3 days to overcome death. What do we have going on in our life that's so hard to overcome? We look at his life. We look how he started out. What do you have going on in this day and age where we have everything that is so hard to overcome? And understand there will be those who are not in your corner. That doesn't matter. Know that you will have detractors. When I started comedy years ago, I had this plan to do it. But I waited till I was in Clearwater, Florida a couple of years later because I didn't want to do it around people who I know would judge me. And whether I did good or bad, they would have pointed it out. And there were those in my life, and I just knew it. So when I was in Clearwater, they had an open mic. Rode my motorcycle there, went inside, was about to sign up, and I was listening. Well, these people didn't just come up and stand up. They put a lot of work into it. So I went home, and I worked all week. And somehow I just hit a spot. And I went back and I signed up. And I had a really good night. But what became of that was I met this group of people who were very similar in what they wanted to do as far as comedy. And they became good friends, friends I'm still with today, who were good friends and good writers and good supporters. And I was able to do comedy for 5 years. And it was an amazing time. And that was because I had this faith. I had this belief in me that I could do whatever. And each point in my life, I've become what I've wanted to be. You know, as a kid, I was not considered athletic. I was told I wasn't. Same with the guitar. I'm a lefty in a right-handed family who my father was a lefty, taught to be right-handed. So I was given right-handed everything. Even if I got a pen, it was messed up somehow. But as I grew older, I joined a softball team. And I realized, with a little effort, I'm not so bad. I watched a windsurfer one day. I wanted to do that. Went down, rented a windsurfer. Had no idea what I was doing. Met this guy from the island of Mauritius. Couldn't speak English. He was renting a board at the same time. But he had done it a little bit. Not great, but enough to teach me. And he taught me by just going, and we went every day to the point that we were pretty good. To the point that the shop said, I have these two really nice boards. Nobody rents them because nobody can use them. If you guys want to use them and windsurf out in front of my place, I'll let you have them at the end of the summer. So, great deal. So every day after work, and I worked for a hotel, so I could take off in the middle of the day or whatever and do my stuff at night. And we went windsurfing in front of this place, and we got fairly good. But for a guy who was not athletic, that was a pretty good task. I could ride waves, jump waves, dunk my hair. I had long hair at the time. Dunk it in the water while I'm windsurfing. But at each point in my life, I've been able to mold myself into what I wanted to be. And a great part of that is that I know you'll have detractors, but you'll have those people who buy into all the aspects of what you want to be and what you can become. When I told Casey I was going to be a minister, not once did she give me a frown, a negative word, anything. She just said, you can do it. And she's been there and always done that. And Jesus is an example of that type of life, not just from what's written about him, but by putting the pieces together and figuring out where he came from and to see what this man had to overcome to be this person that we speak of 2,000 years later. And to me, that is so amazing. We get to bear witness and we get to apply it to our lives. And we get to be the example to others. And I know it's hard work at times to be this part of person. It's hard work to set that quarter in the jar every week. But do that. Be humble about your dreams. You don't have to brag about them. But just take the steps, no matter how small and difficult they are. Grab hold of your life at any age, because you have the courage that's within you. And be persistent and have an attitude that you will not fail. Do the work. Unity principle number 5. I always like the bottom part. It's not enough to know. We must do the work. At anything in life, anything you want, that is the key. And believe in yourself. See yourself as what you want to be, and see yourself as successful at it. Thank you. I'm going to step away for this.
this time is right. Oh, Spirit, lift me in the light. Teach me to love unconditionally. Let my heart open up. Oh, Spirit, teach me to love. Teach me to live in grace. Wash my grief away. Here in this silent space, oh Spirit, teach me to live in grace, in grace. Oh Spirit, teach me to pray.
My batteries get low, so. Couple things. I went way over, so we're not going to do meditation. Somehow I added more stories than I had planned. Thank you. As we know, there's a dance studio down the way, and they're performing the Nutcracker on Saturday, November 30th, from 7 p.m. at the Kingswood Performing Arts Center in Wolfboro, and then one at the Johnson Theater in Durham that Saturday and that Sunday, December 14th and 15th. They have given us 10 tickets. So if anyone wants to go, we've seen stuff of theirs in the past, and they're really good. Just amazing. So if we get 10 people together, that would be lovely. I'm going to do the prayers of the people. At any point, or at every point in our life, there are people who are going through a brave battle. People who are struggling to just walk out the door. People who are battling illness, poverty, oppression. Anything that may interact and make them feel like they were not their best self. And I want you to hold these people in the forefront of your mind. And if there's someone you're thinking of personally, really hold it there. And I also want you, if you have that type of relationship, to call them. Because the fastest way to make a prayer land is to hand deliver it. So call them up or stop by. And you don't have to say, I'm praying for you. All you have to do is say, hey, Joe, I love you. How are you doing today? Just make a connection, because that connection means something, and it grows within them. We know today Frank is not here. He's still feeling under the weather. He's getting better, but just not quite up to coming in. And we know that Ginny's doing her best to take care of them. We love them, and we hold them. I want to keep my friend Mikey in our prayers. He had a close friend that was driving home from Alton, and a car tried to pass someone that his friend had on. This Fred was an incredible musician, nationally known, would tour the nation. And Mikey knew him as a kid. He passed away at 42. And everywhere people are struggling, especially this time of year. So we affirm their wholeness, their health, their happiness. We affirm love. We affirm that they are their best self in any given moment. And so it is. Amen. Next week, I'm going to do a service of remembrance. So if there's anyone that you want me to mention, let me know, or write a little piece and email it to me. And even if you don't, if you come and you hold them in your hearts, I always like to start the holiday season by keeping those people who are no longer with us in perspective. And maybe it lessens the weight that we carry through the season of not having them with us. I'm going to ask Bonnie now to join me for the collection of the prayers, tithes, and offerings.
Still small voice, sacred vibration, animals speak, wave on the ocean, comes from your lips, the touch of your hand, sunset in winter, mist on the land, one and the same, one and the same, and everything God is, one and the same, inside or outside, ascension or bliss, presence or oneness, wisdom or wish, a still small voice, a sacred vibration, animals speak, wave on the ocean, one and the same, one and the same, and everything God is, one and the same, one and the same, one and the same, everything God is, one and the same.
Barbara, thank you so much. Can we give Barbara another? Yeah. There's a video I posted of the Saturday Night Live skit. Do you know what the sound of one hand slapping is? And as the guys say no, the guy slaps him in the face. Or one hand clapping, rather. So join me for the prayer of the tithes and offerings. My segues are terrible. Divine love, as me, blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. And so it is. Amen. Ed, thank you for stepping in. And now join me for the prayer of protection. The light of God surrounds me. The love of God enfolds me. The power of God protects me. The presence of God watches over me. Wherever I am, God is, and all is well, and we are richly blessed. Thank you all so much. Join us in the song.